Alrighty, y'all. Now that we have our backend up, running, looking beautiful, what we can do now is go ahead and figure out how to deploy our front end. And the front end for this little sample social network site is on, of course, the new Boston developers, and it is in this repo, Cooking Front End. So go ahead and check that out. And when you do, you're going to have this repo. You're going to have to add this file right here. So go ahead and create one new file and name it .env.production right here. And for this, you're only going to have two environment variables that you need to set. And that is the API URL and WebSocket URL. And make sure that whenever you are setting environment variables that they're prepended by React_app_. And that's create React apps kind of required naming convention for setting environment variables. But once you do that, go ahead and just replace your domain names with whatever. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up. So basically, whatever is right here. And then once you have that done, then you can just run npm run build. And what this is going to do, this command, is it's going to create a new build directory. Actually, let me go ahead and run this while I'm talking. So this is going to go ahead and build your project, matching, pretty much set up to communicate with this backend. And it's going to take all the files and stick it in this new build directory right here. You see it just got created. Now, before we actually deploy this, what I would recommend doing is first installing this serve library, and it just allows you to test things locally before you get done like deploying everything to S3 and something that isn't working, then having to figure out what's broken. So what we can do is once that's installed, I already have it installed, so that's why I'm not going to do it, but you can run the command serve-s build, and that's pretty much gonna serve this directory like we are going to on S3. So now let me just go ahead and pop it open in localhost and check it out. So it looks like it is indeed working. And what I can actually do is maybe I can shrink this a little bit so you guys can see better. But actually I'm gonna log out since I already had something in my cache from last time. But I can either create a new account or log in. Let me actually create a new account, and you can see the new account that I created starts with E797. Now on my backend, once I go to accounts, it should be displayed there. All right, so E797, and if I just click into that, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add some coins to my account just because I need coins to like test some things, add comments, add posts, so on and so forth. But for this, actually, this is another unique thing about how this is set up, but it doesn't have a password yet. It actually doesn't even need a password at all. However, in Django admin, if you try to update your account model without a password, then it kind of freaks out. So for this, you can just set anything for a password. Again, it's just like, it just needs something in there. And for the payments, let me just add 10,000 and I'll just have saving, continue editing. Now in your React app, this should update automatically. You shouldn't need to hit refresh because everything's already hooked up with WebSockets. And yeah, as soon as you update your account balance on here, it should always automatically refresh on the front end. And now let me just go ahead and create a recipe. So I'll say, actually, let me see what I got. Actually, this is one of the most delicious things that I cooked. It's, well, I gotta admit something. So I cooked the chicken, and yes, it was delicious. This pasta, however, even though it was delicious, it was microwavable bag, but it was cauliflower pasta made out of cauliflower. So, not that bad after all. All right, so let me see, chicken and cauliflower pasta, and I'll say nice and juicy. There you go. Obviously, I wrote these before. Now let me go ahead and submit this, and hopefully, if everything worked, all right, beautiful. Now let me just go ahead and copy this image address just to make sure. Yes, indeed, it is now in our Penguin Chest Backend S3 bucket. Looking good. I mean, look how juicy that is. Oh, baby, baby. Okay, anyways, getting a little bit distracted here. The point is that we are just testing that everything works locally And now once we confirm that, we can go ahead, and what we're going to end up doing is taking this build directory, and instead of serving it locally, since we actually want users to be able to access it, we're pretty much going to be taking everything in here and moving it in an S3 bucket. And I'll show you how to serve your entire website from just that S3 bucket. So, sounds pretty cool. In order to do that, the first thing we're going to need to do is create an S3 bucket. Now, remember our backend was penguinchess.net. Now for the front end, I want to serve that from an S3 bucket and ultimately from the domain name penguinchess.io. So just keep that in mind when we're creating this, just those differences. But I'm going to create a bucket. In the bucket name, I'm just going to name it penguinchess.io. And now the region, this is good. Hit create bucket. And now from here, just go, whoa. Let's get back in there. All right, where is my bucket? So it was penguinchess.io. And from here, what we need to do is we need to just kind of enable hosting. So I'm going to hit properties, and in static website hosting, where are you? Might be all the way. Okay. So in static website hosting, all the way at the bottom, go ahead and hit edit here. And then I'm just going to enable static website hosting. And now in the index document right here, just type in the index document. So index.html. Typically yours is going to be index.html, but just to show you what's going on with the React app. So this pretty much gets built along with the source code into this build file. And this is kind of my entry point, this index.html. So this is what they're going to load in. And the React app loads, this one tag pretty much gets replaced with the entire React app. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, that's what's going on. That's why it's named index.html. And let's see, in the error document, this is another interesting thing, and I'll talk to you about this in just a bit, but in the error document, we're also going to be serving index.html. And this, well, I'll talk to you in later on when we set up the CDN, but I'll tell you why we do that in just a bit. So for now, let's just go ahead and hit save. And all right, so this is now pretty much enabled to host a website. So from here, what we can do is actually there it is, upload button right there. So now what we are going to do is pretty much take all the files in here, all these files, including this static folder right here, and yeah, kind of just upload them. Actually, can I do it right from here? Drag and drop my butt. Okay, add files, gonna do this the hard way. Just gonna click like 2 times. Okay, projects, where are you at? This is cooking front end, build, and I'm gonna select all these files, upload those, and I also want to add a folder, which is my static folder, contains all my like images, CSS, so on and so forth. Upload those as well. Then once I have everything selected, just gonna go down here and click upload. All right, and now I can close out of this, and in my permissions, what I want to do is in my block public access settings, I'm gonna hit edit, and then I'm going to uncheck this, and then I'm going to save those changes, and then you just need to write confirm right here. And then after this, one more thing that we need to do is, yeah, right here. So in your bucket policy, we pretty much just need to, well, pretty much similar to what we did with the other S3 bucket for on our backend, allowing people to read images from the bucket. We just need to kind of edit the permissions for these. So go in here and just paste in this. Again, I'm going to have this guide in the description below. However, just a note, make sure you replace this with whatever your bucket name is. So we're pretty much saying that anyone from the public, anyone at all, is allowed to read the items in this bucket. And now that that's taken care of, we can just hit save changes, and yeah, good to go. So from here, we have our bucket set up. People can read from it. However, we just don't want to kind of quit here. What we want to do is we now want to set up our CloudFront distribution. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow these files to be served closer to the user. Even though they're in this bucket, they aren't going to have to reach all the way out to Virginia to pull them. So how do we do that? Well, if we get out of here. Okay, how do I get out of S3? It's kind of weird. Just have to refresh sometimes and then the toolbar pops up. But anyways, if I go to looking for CloudFront right here, which is your CDN, Content Delivery Network, and we're going to create a new distribution. And for the origin domain, what we can do is we can choose, did I miss it? Right here, this S3 bucket, penguinchess.io, and this is pretty much that S3 bucket that we just created. And we're gonna have this warning, has enabled if you plan to use this distributed website, which we already recommend using the S3 website, yada yada, you can read it. Yes, use website endpoint. Now down in the, where are you at? All right, so in this viewer protocol policy, we want to redirect all HTTP requests to HTTPS. Make sure to compress objects automatically. That's going to be yes as well. And then for default root object, this is going to be set to index.html. And one other thing, web application. All right. So for web application firewall, we want to hit do not enable security protections. And I believe, let me just check. Yeah, I believe that's it. So we can now hit create distribution. And yes, successfully created a new distribution. And our distribution domain name is this. So this is kind of like our temporary domain name. So with this, we can actually go there. However, it's not going to work right now because it is still deploying. However, it shouldn't take too long. But either way, once this is done deploying, I'll pause my video right now. Once this is done deploying, we can just pretty much just go here and if everything worked correctly, our front end should be hosted right here. All right, and check it out. It is now distributed and boom, look at this. A nice, beautiful front end. Of course, our domain name isn't configured yet, but I mean, hey, this is pretty memorable, I think. Hey, have you guys checked out that site, D1NXFRD VFCX060? Oh yeah, man, I love that site. It's so cool. All right, now here, let me just log out and just test it around, make sure. Okay, create a new account, 792B. Let me add some coins to that account, 792B. Again, for this setup, you just need a temporary password. And nice. 10,000 coins added to my account, and of course this should work, but let me just for good measure. What else? Oh, this was another fantastic dish I made. Again, Chef Bucky coming through again. What one was this? This was chicken right here. Creamy garlic mushroom chicken pasta. Delightful. And I'll just say sweet right there. Submit it. All right, recipe created. Now, I do actually want to point out this. You see how this image is kind of taking a long time to load? So a couple of issues. Well, not really issues, but things that we can improve in the future. So you usually just don't want to serve the full size image like all the time. Since, for example, look on this profile. Well, one, you notice that these images are taking a long time to load again. So there are a couple issues right here. One thing is we don't need to load in the full size image when we're only displaying a smaller portion of it. So what we can do in the future is set up a microservice to like resize these images so they're serving like just the size that you need on the front end. And another thing that's happening, if I hit refresh right here, you notice is that this image, well, maybe you can't notice, but you see how it kind of takes a long time? That's because it's loading again and again and again. So we can actually cache this on the front end to say, hey, you just downloaded this. If the user makes another request for it, you don't actually need to go out and fetch it each time. So a lot of different optimizations that can be made. You can see the image loading is pretty apparent on that one. But I mean, right now we have our own social network launched. Name, not that memorable, but I mean, hey, it's working. I can invite my friends and yeah, we're gonna have a good time. So in the future, actually in the next video, what we'll do is we'll connect the domain name so we can use that instead of this honkin' tonkin' URL. And also from there, we're gonna optimize the deployment process. Since right now we saw how manual everything was, not only building the front end where you have to run all those commands manually, and then I had to like upload them to S3. Like, who has time for that? I'm gonna get carpal tunnel if I have to do that all the time. But also the back end, where instead of having to SSH in and pull the latest updates and run a bunch of commands to do this and that, we can move this all to a CI/CD pipeline, automate everything, and then yeah, lots of optimizations. We probably want to restructure our layout on the back end so we have multiple EC2 instances talking to a single RDS database. But anyways, enough of that. I'm actually going to go out and grab a quesadilla right now. All this food is making me hungry. If anyone actually makes it this far and they actually spun up a social network, first of all, that would be very impressive. But second of all, add my account. I'll put my account number below and send me a link to it. And then I'll go ahead, you know what I'll do? I'll go ahead and upload the picture of my quesadilla that I'm about to go buy. So yeah, I'm hungry. I'm going to go grab that and I will see you next video.